Hello, and welcome to my Capstone Symposium presentation. My name is Elizabeth Zajaczkowski, and the title of my poster is Building a Bridge, Bringing Cultural Relevance to Government-Run Environmental Engagement Programs in Alaska. For my capstone, I worked with the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, also known as NOAA, and their Alaska Fishery Science Center. Alaska holds the highest population of Indigenous Americans in the United States across many diverse linguistic and geographic regions. Within each region are smaller communities that have a unique set of cultural traditions and Indigenous knowledge. My research focuses on the Inupiaq region of Alaska, marked in Figure 1A. Figure 1B shows the diversity of communities within that region. Across the United States, there's been a complicated relationship between the Western education system and Indigenous cultural practices. Western education systems typically marginalize Indigenous systems of knowing by promoting a compartmentalized, experiment-based form of understanding. In contrast, Indigenous knowledge systems are place-based and founded on thousands of years of experience interacting with the natural world. After numerous studies on the positive impacts of culturally relevant education, the state of Alaska has created a standard for including Indigenous knowledge in state schools, but this is not widely implemented in the majority of federal environmental science engagement programs. Thus, my research aims to identify promising approaches for creating culturally relevant programs in the Inupiaq region of Alaska through the Know Alive Alaska webinar series. Know Alive Alaska is a series of interactive webinars aimed at Alaskan students in grades 2 through 8 to highlight the work researchers are doing in their communities. The question that drove my research was, what are promising approaches to navigate the similarities and differences in Indigenous knowledge from different communities when creating environmental engagement programs in the Inupiaq region of Alaska? As an outreach and education intern, I helped to moderate and plan season 2 of the live webinar series by meeting with speakers and organizing questions. An image of my involvement in these webinars can be seen in Figure 2. In addition to webinar organization, I reviewed analytics and produced a story map showing the reach and popularity of season 1 webinars in communities across Alaska. I also held interviews with 8 Alaskan educators who had attended at least one webinar across both seasons to procure suggestions for improving the cultural relevance of the series in respect to their community. These interviews, along with a literature review focusing on Inupiaq culture and strategies for implementing culturally relevant education, led me to identify 5 promising approaches for creating culturally relevant environmental engagement programs in the Inupiaq region. The first approach is to collaborate with Inupiaq elders, community members, and educators, which is highlighted in Figure 3. Second is to work with presenters to acknowledge the Inupiaq values of the community. Third, emphasize the connection between cultural practices and Western science. Fourth, facilitate presenters to create their message in a storytelling narrative. And finally, partner with educators to create relevant place-based supplemental activities. Going forward, NOAA should implement the 5 approaches outlined in this presentation and continue to research culturally relevant education to avoid reproducing settler colonialism in their engagement programs. Acknowledging Indigenous knowledge will build a bridge to future government collaboration and promote cultural healing across communities. Including diverse knowledge systems and environmental engagement also creates a more well-rounded education and fosters cross-cultural understanding. Thank you for listening to my presentation. I would like to take this time to thank the Inupiaq people whose Indigenous knowledge and tradition I greatly benefited from. I would also like to thank my site supervisor, Lisa Haruki Raring, my faculty advisor, Kirsten Foote, my cohort, my friends, and my family for supporting me along the way. Thank you so much.